Hey, and welcome to the new Bybit tutorial. In this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to use the Bybit exchange. Also, this will be a two-part episode, so if you have any questions about Bybit which are not getting answered in this episode, make sure you write them down below in the comments section. I will pick them up and add all of them into the advanced tutorial, which will be launched in approximately 1 up to 2 weeks. Also, for those people who are not interested in all of these points, well, you can use the timestamps down below in the comment section. Those will bring you to exactly what you want to know. So for the content, we're starting off with an overview how to use the interface, a few tips and tricks. Then we're going into short and longs and leverage explained as simply as possible. Then we're going over different order types. You will learn how to use limit orders, market orders, also how to use a stop loss properly. That is very important. We're going to have a quick talk about conditional orders as well. Then we're looking at the contract versus mark price. It's very important to know the difference, and also it's very important what price is actually responsible for your liquidation. Then we're talking about funding and fees. What do you have to pay? When do you have to pay it? And how can you actually save some of the fees maybe? We're going to talk about cross margin, which just recently replaced auto margin replenishment on Bybit. And last but not least, I'm going to talk a little bit about strategies and also show you some live trading. And now let's jump right into it. Number 1, the overview. Bybit is quite good as far as the design is concerned. It is very responsive and you can drag all these boxes in whatever position you want to have them. So it fits perfectly for you for your trading style. The biggest box by default is the price section, where you can also see your entry price and your stop loss in this case. This is only a light version from TradingView. If you want to do your whole technical analysis on TradingView, there is a ticker called BTC USD Perpetual Futures Contracts from Bybit. Here you can do the technical analysis on real TradingView, and then later on you can lock in your trades on Bybit. So far you cannot do that directly from TradingView. But just to let you know, yes, there is a ticker which symbols the contract price of the perpetual swaps on Bybit. On the very top, we have the menu. We have trade. This is where you're mostly going to be at. Then we have assets, close P&L, assets history, order history, trade history, and withdrawal history. Especially trade history for all those people who want to analyze how much they're paid for fees and funding. Make sure you check out trade history. Here you can see everything perfectly fine, and you can do your due diligence if you're not quite sure what you're actually paying for. Then we also have more. FAQ is actually quite important. If you have any questions, there is for everything a help function out there, and pretty much every question you're going to ask is going to get answered in the help or the FAQ function. That is quite good actually. Then also what's important to point out in here is Bybit is one of the only leverage exchanges where you can not only send Bitcoin to, you can also send Ethereum, EOS, and XRP physically and trade those on the platform and also withdraw those from the platform. So here you can swap between BTC, Ethereum, EOS, and XRP perpetual swaps. Then what we have over here is the order book. Here you can actually see the spread, and on the left side the contract price, and on the right side the mark price. We're going to talk about those in one of the future points here in this video, but just to point it out where you can find them. Then here on the top right hand side you can see the different order types: limit orders, market orders, and also conditional orders, which can be used to do stop losses. But we're going to come to that also in this video. In this area over here, you can find the contract details. For example, if you hover over the funding rate, you can see the funding rate in 13 hours, the estimated funding rate in this case, and also the funding rate, the estimated funding rate in 5 hours. If you go down a little bit more, you can see market activity, the help function in here, asset overview, and you can also obviously see your positions right here and my stop loss here under conditional. So this is it for the overview. Number 2. Shorts and longs, and also leverage. What does that mean? Quite simple. To long the price of Bitcoin is to bet on the price of Bitcoin to go up. To short the price of Bitcoin, that the price of Bitcoin is going to go down. With leverage means that you can actually trade a higher volume as you actually have. Let's say, for example, you want to bet on the price of Bitcoin with 1 Bitcoin. You send 1 Bitcoin to Bybit exchange. You can set up a 10x leverage. That means you're actively trading 10 Bitcoin. So if the price of Bitcoin goes up by 10%, you're not just just making 10% gains, 0.1 Bitcoin of your initial 1 Bitcoin as margin, but you're making 100%. 10x because you're 10x leverage, and obviously the exact same thing in the opposite direction. Let's see how that would look like here on TradingView. Let's say, for example, the price of Bitcoin is at approximately $9,000 US. Let's just assume it's a little bit easier to do the math in here. So let's say we are here approximately at $9,000 US, and you want to go long Bitcoin with 1 Bitcoin with a 10x leverage. So you're not just betting with 1 Bitcoin, you're betting with 10 Bitcoin right now, so with $90,000 US. Now, once again, if the price of Bitcoin just goes up by 10%, obviously if you are long, if you're shorting, you would be betting on the other direction. But let's say, for example, the price of Bitcoin goes up here approximately 10%. That means that you made 1 Bitcoin. Obviously, you can't keep the 10 Bitcoin that you borrowed to do your leverage trade, but you can keep the full gains. So once again, 1 Bitcoin, 10x leverage, the price of Bitcoin moves up by only 10%, you're making 1 full Bitcoin and not just 0.1 Bitcoin. Now, probably you're asking yourself, hey, wait a second, why would anyone borrow me those Bitcoin? Well, this comes along with some risks. The higher the leverage, the higher the risk. If we put in an order right now, which is going to do a market order right now with a quantity of 1,000, we say buy long in here with 10x leverage, what you will figure is that on this mask in here, we're going to talk about take profit and stop loss in a second. What you can figure on this mask is a liquidation price. That means if the price of Bitcoin decreases by approximately 10% because we are going long and the price of Bitcoin would go into the opposite direction, we're going to get liquidated at a certain level. So we're not going to lose more than we have in our isolated margin, but we're going to lose our whole margin. So in this case, our whole Bitcoin if we would have betted 1. So let's say once again, we're going long with 1 Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin is not going up by 10%, but down by 10% and hits its liquidation price, we're going to get liquidated and we're going to lose the 1 Bitcoin. So yes, leverage trading can be quite profitable, but you can lose everything that you betted on the price. So pay attention right there. Number 3, order types. First off, I have to say the easiest way to put in an order is always market buy. But when you are not a market maker, when you're only a market taker, which is what you are when you're just pressing the market buy button or market sell button, then you are a market taker, then you have to pay a fee of 0.075%. So always keep in mind, whenever you press the button under market orders, you will always pay the 0.075%. And you cannot just save them, you can actually even get a rebate. But we're gonna come to that in a second. So here, as we already said, market buy, you're buying exactly into the spread, to be specific, into the lowest ask. So let's try that, and let's also discuss this mask in here again. What you can do, for example, is you can already set up in here take profit. I'm personally not the biggest fan of this because I like to do that manually when the position is already running, but you can take profit in here. For example, when you have 100% profits, you can sell in here and you can see exactly what it does. Last traded price goes up to $9,820. If that would actually happen, you would be at 100%. It will trigger market take profit order estimated profit, and here you can see the estimated profit. I personally do not use this function, but I just want to show that this function is there. The function everyone has to use, and yes, you heard that right, you have to use this function, is the stop loss. And you want to have your stop loss always above your liquidation price. When the price actually goes down, before we're going to get liquidated, we want to have our stop loss set. I'm going to come to that also in the last point of this video, in the strategies and live trading, why exactly that is. But you never want to get liquidated. You also want to get stopped out. If the trade is not going in the direction you plan to, if the trade is just going down after 2, 3, 4%, depending on your technical analysis, you want to stop out the position, okay? You're betting on the price of Bitcoin to go up with a long, and if the price is going into the wrong direction, you want to get out again and maybe go long later on. At least that's how I do it. So let's say, for example, the stop loss in here is at $8,100. That is when we want to get stopped out in here a little bit before the liquidation price. Confirm. And now we have our position open. We can see our entry price. We can see our gains. And what we also can see immediately here is our stop price at the level of 8,100 US dollars. So if the price of Bitcoin is going up right now, the unrealized P&L is going to get green. We're going to get into profits. If the price of Bitcoin is going to come down to 8,100 US dollars, our contract will get market closed. So technically speaking, we're going to sell our 1,000 contracts in here again to cut our losses. Now let's talk about limit orders. Limit orders are the most recommended ones. And here I have a little pro tip for you. If you want to make sure that you are getting the rebate of 0.025%, if you want to be a market maker, you have to use this little box in here, the post only box. Everything else you can leave like it is. If you're interested in reduce only or good till canceled, what that exactly means, you can write it down below in the comment section, and I will have that in the pro tutorial in the next episode. But the post only in here is very important. It hinders you from putting a limit order in, which is getting filled immediately, which is basically going into the spread and then getting filled immediately. Because you're only getting the rebate if your position pops up somewhere over here or somewhere over here, right? If there is time to actually get filled, then you are officially a market maker because you are bringing the liquidity and someone else is taking the liquidity. So basically that gives the incentive to market makers to bring the liquidity to the exchange. And that's exactly what you want to be doing. The problem about limit orders is you basically have to time the market 2 times, not just 1 time. You have to wait for the price to come down to your level where you want to scoop it up if you want to go long, and then with the long you're betting on the price of Bitcoin to go up. With a market order, you are in immediately. Hey, the price is going up, market order, I'm in, I can ride it. But if the price is just going up and you want to put in a post only limit order, you have to wait until the price comes down first. So as you can see, there are definitely arguments for both orders. If the price is just shooting up, well, a limit order is probably not going to help you anymore to go long at the right time. But if you trade long term, if you have a long term plan, make sure you use limit orders and you use post only. Very important. And then of course we also have the conditional orders. Conditional orders, you probably don't have to use them all too often. What's the most important thing is a stop loss. But whenever you set up a market or a limit order, you will get that mask that we have seen recently already, and there you can put in your stop loss as well. Maybe we're going to talk about some interesting strategies as well besides stop losses, but I haven't figured out too many, to be honest. But with conditional orders, what you can do is you can set a trigger price and then you open a position after that trigger price. Or what you also can do is with this tick over here, you can also close on trigger. So nothing happens. You have no position open until that trigger price is gonna get hit. And obviously also after that trigger price got hit, you can decide between market order and limit order. So what should exactly happen? What kind of order with what quantity you want to put in, or close with this tick over here after this trigger price is getting hit. So those are different order types. Now let's talk about the contract versus the mark price. Quite simple. The price here on the left side in the order book is the price of the actual contract, the price of the perpetual swap. The price on the right side is the mark price. This one is getting built from an average from different exchanges, plus a little extra. We're going to look at that in a second. What's important in here is pretty much everything is based on the contract price, when you buy, when you sell, and so on. But, and here it's getting very important,